posible de poder traducir. Espero que se capte la idea que nos quiere transmitir.
Sí. Muchas gracias, Sergio, por invitación a Oaxaca y México. I was going to say that I like Mexico very much. Me gusta Mexico mucho personas. Okay, so I'm going to speak in English. Emma's going to help me. So I only told her about my presentation half an hour ago, so she's going to work very hard to help me and translate. So my name is Jonathan Friedman. I'm a partner with Partisans. We're a young architectural firm in Toronto.
Su nombre es Jonathan Friedman, trabaja para la firma Partisans en Toronto, Canadá.
Sí. I'm going to talk today about architecture in Canada, some of the projects that we've been working on. But the main themes are the landscape, social engagement, and urban regeneration.
Bueno, el tema es transformando el entorno construido a través del paisaje, el compromiso social y la regeneración urbana.
And so the first two projects, although they're houses, so not necessarily about landscape, or sorry, not necessarily about urban environment, built environment on an urban scale, they talk about the landscape and why that's very important. So those principles in the small projects are very necessary for some of the bigger urban projects.
Bueno, son proyectos urbanos que se integran al paisaje, en los cuales él ha estado trabajando con su firma y son proyectos a pequeña escala.
So, just a very quick introduction about our firm. We're a young firm, as I said before. I was born in South Africa. The Partisans was founded by Alex Josephson and Puya Baktash 7 years ago, and then I joined after 1 year.
Él es de Sudáfrica, se unió a la firma que se encuentra en Canadá, la cual fue creada por Alex Joseph, y los cuales son de Canadá, y Puya Baktash, que es de Irán.
So this is Toronto. I just showed this image as well because obviously the theme of the conference is urbanism. We're not going to go into detail, but you can see it's a very beautiful city. You know, with an integration of the water, a lot of natural elements that are incorporated into the city.
Esto es Toronto. Es una gran ciudad que se integra con un lago y bellos paisajes alrededor.
This was our very first office. It was in Puya's apartment. So early days, we didn't have much. You know, we started from the bottom, and now we've grown into a bigger office. We're now 20 people.
Bueno, la primera imagen era de la primera oficina, la cual era un departamento, por lo cual era muy pequeño y comenzaron desde abajo. Y esta ya es su actual oficina, en la cual trabajan más de 20 personas.
And this is our group right now. We're doing projects all over the world, mostly in Toronto, but we are gaining more clients, more projects over the world, and that's what we're aiming to do.
Bueno, la imagen anterior era del personal que trabaja con ellos, y ellos tienen proyectos, la mayoría de sus proyectos son en Toronto, pero también tienen proyectos alrededor del mundo.
So the first project I want to talk about is Grotto Sauna. It's really about integrating architecture and the landscape and how you make nature and the built environment come together in one project.
El primer proyecto es el Grotto Sauna, y y bueno, este es un gran proyecto que se integra al medio ambiente, al paisaje.
So this project is located in a place called Georgian Bay. It's about 2 hours north of Toronto. People have cottages, summer homes. It's a very beautiful part of the Canadian landscape.
Está ubicado en Georgian Bay, es un conjunto de islas que está que está ubicado en el norte de Canadá.
And you can see the inspiration for the project was about this, the rock, water, and the sky coming together. So very, very poetic, very beautiful materials with which to work with, also very elemental, very simple.
Bueno, es un paisaje que está integrado por agua, por rocas, tiene una mirada muy hermosa y es por lo cual se basaron en materiales muy simples.
Sí. So, because this was a remote site, away from Toronto, we had to understand the landscape very, very closely. So we spent a lot of time on the site, photographing it, looking at it in different conditions, different light, and also we created a digital model. So on cloud, we scanned the site digitally so that we could build the model, build our work very, very accurately back in the city.
Para entender el paisaje fue muy difícil, ya que son muchas rocas y contiene diferentes elementos, por lo cual tuvieron que escanear todo el paisaje, que fue un largo proceso, y bueno, al final utilizaron el point cloud para poder conjuntar los elementos.
So the inspiration for the project was a grotto or a cave, and the client, we did a rendering of this, and the client loved the idea. The problem is when you have, a crazy idea, and the client likes it, suddenly you now have to build it. So there's a moment where you say, oh shit, now I have to make this real.
Bueno, la inspiración fue una gruta. Al cliente le encantó, por lo cual este es un render del modelo que él estaba creando, que le encantó Álvaro, pero pues que era muy difícil su construcción y tuvieron muchos problemas para ello.
Sí, so what we do is we're a research-based firm. We believe that if you have an idea, you don't necessarily have to know how to do it. You have to have the idea first, but then you have to be able to figure it out. So in this case, and a lot of other projects, we invent the process. So often we'll use simple materials, we'll use technology and old traditions to come up with a new way of thinking and approaching things.
Como el proceso era difícil, ellos inventaron este proceso para la construcción del interior del proyecto.
So examples now, once we figure out in sort of sketch form or concept, then we actually have to start modeling and testing things out. So you see some scripting and some prototypes of how to make the panels for the sauna.
La primera imagen es de SketchUp y de cómo fue el proceso y parte desde la idea.
So, because this was a remote building, very difficult access, and also because of the environmental issues, we wanted to have a very minimal impact on the island. So we proposed that we would build this in Toronto with a prefab construction, and then deliver it to the site to minimize the amount of time that we would spend out there.
Era difícil construirlo en el lugar, no tenían todos los elementos, por lo cual propusieron que se realizara toda la estructura en Toronto y después pasarla al lugar.
So you can see in the bottom left the rough sauna being loaded onto the truck. It was made in Toronto, and then the delivery out to the island. And the total construction on the island was only 2 weeks, so very minimal construction impact in a very environmentally sensitive area.
Bueno, las oficinas lo llevaron en camión y después en barco, y en solo 2 semanas se pudo integrar el proyecto al lugar.
So I'll just go through some of these slides quite quickly, but the intention was to integrate, and the client was very interesting. They wanted this to be unlike any transit station in the world. They wanted it to be like a dynamic neighborhood that you would actually want to go to and visit in the evening. So a place for culture, for food, for entertainment. So thinking about how a transit station can do more than just move people from one place to the other.
Bueno, la idea es transformarlo en un lugar social donde existan tiendas, restaurantes, donde el vecindario puede integrarse a él, entrar y salir.
So we started studying the flow of people throughout the station, and what we realized was that most train stations are designed to move people very quickly from one place to the other. So we proposed a series of interventions that would slow people down and give opportunities for performances, for a variety of different activities.
Bueno, la terminal es un lugar en donde la gente se mueve rápido de un lugar a otro, por lo cual la idea de ellos fue crear como obstáculos para que la gente tenga que dar vuelta, conocer el lugar y interactuar.
And one of the areas that we were focusing on was the new food court, which was 4 stories below ground where the new addition was taking place. So headroom, ceiling heights was very, very low, about 9 or 10 feet in some of the public areas. So it was a real problem when we inherited the project.
Bueno, esta parte es por debajo de donde pasa el tren, y es el área en donde ellos planeaban poner el área de comida.
So what we proposed was to think about the building system differently. So normally you have drywall, you have your ductwork, you have your lighting. We said, well, what if everything could come together into one system? So we created these what we call pods, which integrate lighting, sprinklers, and mechanical systems into one unit.
Bueno, ellos quisieron mover todo el sistema de calefacción, de energía, de iluminación a un solo sistema, y el cual es su prototipo para poder librar todo el espacio que utilizaba esa tubería.
And then we worked with a team of engineers to test it to make sure that it would work. So you can see how the HVAC is starting to be tested in the space. So mechanical systems and how it can be very effective.
Bueno, muestra cómo este prototipo es juntar todo en uno solo y es muy efectivo para su funcionamiento.
So finally we settled on design that worked, everyone was happy with it. The prototype was actually done in Mexico. It's a Canadian company that has a factory here.
El prototipo fue hecho en México, creado por una compañía en Canadá, pero fabricada en México.
And then this is a rendering. But this is a rendering. And then, okay, so this was the rendering of the space in the basement. And then this is it finished a few months ago. It's been a very big success. But you can imagine that if it had just been your regular drywall plaster ceiling, it would not have been a very nice space. So by thinking creatively, by thinking of alternative solutions, we're able to make the space into a destination that people want to go to and spend time there.
Bueno, el primero era un render. Esta es la actualidad que se terminó hace unos meses, y la idea era concentrar a las personas en un lugar y una solución eficaz al problema de todas las tuberías.
And the other thing as well, it's been a theme of the talks today and tomorrow as well, but thinking about public space and private space differently, where how do you create space that's flexible, that people can occupy different times of day? You know, the station now, this area has become a place that people will gather for basketball, for hockey games, to watch on the big screens. So, you know, so food courts, train stations, entertainment venues, places that people gather, it's really about hybridization, and that actually means sustainability in the long term. So it's not just one single use.
Bueno, fue una solución para volverlo un lugar público en donde la gente pudiera interactuar. Tienen una pantalla grande en la cual pueden proyectar partidos, fútbol, básquetbol, sí, entretenimiento para que las personas puedan, digamos, visitar el lugar, convivir y interactuar.
Okay, good. This is the second to last project I'll talk about. This is a very interesting project. You can see here, this is a map of Toronto. This is downtown, the financial center. Toronto Islands. This area is one of the largest undeveloped areas near downtown metropolis. So it's almost the same size, one-to-one, as the downtown area of Toronto. So there's a tremendous opportunity to get it right, but also a tremendous opportunity to fail, to not get it right. So we have to look at what are the opportunities around, you know, what are the opportunities? It's industrial land, and this generating station, this power generating station is at the heart of it.
Bueno, se encuentra cerca del centro de Toronto, es de la zona financiera y es del lado de la zona industrial, donde hay unas pequeñas islas. Bueno, la zona era zona industrial y ahorita se encuentra en desuso.
So it's a very beautiful building. It's very, very large in scale. And so there's a lot of debate about what to do with this building, what its future will be. Should it be turned into an art gallery? Should it be turned into a museum? Should it be teared down and condominiums built? So we were invited to do this festival for 3 weeks, a temporary festival, to open the building up to the public for the very first time, invite them in, and allow the public to be a part of the debate now, to see what this building was all about.
Bueno, es un edificio muy hermoso, es muy amplio. Se llevó a cabo un festival, el cual tuvieron que preparar el edificio en 3 semanas, porque no tenía uso y era un edificio que tenía muchos peligros.
Okay, so on one hand, we were in charge of coming up with, we worked with a company called Luminato, which ran the festival, and they invited us to be a part of it. But we had to help them come up with the ideas of what this, the performance and the venue would be like, as well as making it safe for the public to come in. So we wanted it to be barrier-free, inclusive. People could come there at all hours of the day and night, so it had to be safe. And you can see it's an incredibly beautiful building. It's like an industrial cathedral. But to bring the public into this, where it had been abandoned, was very difficult.
Bueno, como ven, es un edificio industrial, por lo cual, bueno, como dijo, fue difícil, porque tenían que hacerlo un lugar inclusivo, un lugar abierto al público, que lo pudieran utilizar y que no fuera peligroso para el público.
Okay, so this is just a general overview of what the project involved. You can see that we had a 1,500 person theater in one of the spaces made out of shipping containers. There was a whole series of performance spaces, restaurants. The idea was that there was 24 hours of entertainment, of activities. There were always people being invited inside. So really making this old abandoned building open to the public now.
Bueno, este es el proyecto. Para abrirse al público se tiene la idea de que sea muy accesible, que haya restaurantes, un teatro, bueno, tiene varios espacios al público.
But I think what's amazing about this is that you have these old buildings. How do you start to think about regeneration, bringing in new life? It's really a big part of it is about people making it accessible, making it open to the public, providing different activities, different entertainment, and then the architecture becomes this stage, this shell. You don't want it to be the whole experience, but at the same time you have this incredible venue that we have to advocate for, that it's worth preserving these kinds of buildings, these kinds of spaces.
Bueno, es un proyecto que trata de, como mencionaba nuevamente, incluir, darle una nueva vida a este edificio, ya que era un edificio industrial, para que sea un atractivo al público y que sea accesible con sus diferentes áreas que habíamos mencionado.
I'm just going to go quickly through some of these slides here, but this is the theater that we did, and it was a Scottish Shakespeare company that was brought in to perform there. It was a very amazing experience.
Bueno, ese es el teatro que construyeron ellos y que es una grandiosa experiencia estar en el lugar.
But you can see how the space changes and transforms depending on what the activities are in there.
Bueno, se puede ver cómo el lugar cambia, dándole una nueva vida, nuevos atractivos para que sea accesible a todas las personas.
Okay, very last project. This is another project about rehabilitation. This is an abandoned amusement park in Toronto on the waterfront. It was built in the 1960s. You can see the original buildings are quite beautiful modernist architecture that floats above the water, but for the last 10 years it's been closed and abandoned.
Este es un edificio de 1960, el cual era un parque de atracciones. Muchas de las edificaciones se ven flotando en el agua.
And we were invited to develop a 5 to 10 year plan before the government figured out what they actually want to do for the long-term plan for the site. So this is a short-term activation about how do you just open up something that's abandoned and get people to come into the site and inhabit it for the first time in 10 years.
Es un proyecto que se está desarrollando hacia el público, para que sea nuevamente abierto hacia el público, ya que se encontraba cerrado. Con el nuevo gobierno tendrían que estarlo trabajando.
See, so in this case, our role as architects was to actually do less, was to strip away, was to clean up a lot of what had been built and accumulated over the years. So we actually just proposed a better wayfinding, cleaning up the pathways, cleaning up some of the landscape, really just about stripping away and then proposing activities year-round. That was really important. So how do you get people to come into the space, activated and stay there? So you've got to have food and beverage, you've got to have activities for different ages, you've got to think temporarily, how's the space going to be used in the day, in the winter, and how then you start to just minimally support that.
Bueno, su propuesta es cómo limpiar el lugar, ampliarlo para que sea una atracción importante y la gente vaya, cómo hacer que en todas las estaciones del año esté activo y recrear espacios para el público.
And just the last topic on this, you can see that the views are incredible. These are really beautiful buildings, so we were just proposing to strip things away, to remove walls, to remove the floors that had been built up over time. So the last, just to give you a broader picture of the office, office, in conclusion, research and speculation is something that's very important to the office as well. So we produced books, cartoons. In this case, we did a book called Rise and Sprawl, which talks about the condominiumization of Toronto and how developers and marketing have really changed the way that the city skyline is developing, and it's not nearly responsive to the ground plane, to the urban environment.
Entonces en su oficina trabaja en este tipo de proyectos en los que se integra al paisaje y en los nuevos edificios cómo darles otro uso, otra vida al edificio y bueno, sus propuestas.
We do small scale projects as well. This is a lighting series, so lighting, furniture, the proposal for a competition, for a ferry terminal. Also starting to think about a lot of buildings that are in downtown Toronto that are 100 years old, 150 years old, and how do you start to rehabilitate them, make additions to them in difficult conditions.
Cómo restaurar edificios en Toronto, ampliarlos, darles una nueva vista y reutilizarlos.
And then some speculative projects. You know, obviously this is ambitious, but you know, it's feasible. You know, we can build this. But starting to imagine what is our cities going to be like in the future, and how do we start to make cities that are more engaging places for us to want to live in. So, muchas gracias. Thank you very much.